welcome everyone to the peer-to-peer fundraising for the 2024 Good Giving Challenge. Let's go ahead and kick ourselves off. All right, so welcome again. We're glad that you could join us. We are recording this. The slides and the recording will be up on the website by the end of this week. But I'm Cameron. I'm an onboarding consultant here at Bonterra, here working with the Good Giving Challenge. Our project manager, Katie, is off in Scotland, exploring the world, having a wonderful time. But you may see her name and face on this project as we continue working together. But Lauren, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Most of y'all, I'm sure, know me. I'm Lauren Parsons. I'm with Bluegrass Community Foundation. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives and Communications, and I'm one of your friendly faces on the Good Giving Challenge. Courtney Turner is also on my team and helps out. So you'll be hearing from us a lot more this fall.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. A quick note for this particular setup for our webinar is that it is being recorded. As I mentioned, the recording and the slides will be available on the trainings page a little bit later this week. So the same area where you registered for this webinar, those buttons will be replaced with the recordings and the slides there. And with that, if you have questions or comments throughout the training, we highly recommend and encourage them. We do appreciate when you use the Q&A box, if you'll submit those. And the reason for that is the chat is open, please use it. But if you submit a chat or a question in the chat box, sometimes if other chats come in, it pushes that question up and we might miss it. So if you can use the Q&A box to submit any questions, myself and Lauren are here to answer those to the best of our ability. We will review them as we're going through the webinar, but we'll also have kind of a formal Q&A piece at the end too. So please, for now, use the chat if you'd like to introduce yourself, your name, your organization, your location, if it varies in any way. And I'll go ahead and move us forward. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my video off just to save bandwidth, make sure we make it through this. You know, this internet's, sometimes they have a mind of their own. So if anyone's used P2P, peer-to-peer fundraising before, please feel free to toss your experience in the chat. Ooh, chat disabled. Thank you for that, for submitting that. Attendees can chat with everyone. All right, I think now it should be on if anyone wants to test that chat. Awesome. Thank you so much. So if anyone has used peer-to-peer, please feel free to toss your experience in the chat as well. If you'd like any key learnings, any successes that you've seen with this tool, whether it's been on our platform or somewhere else, we'd love to hear from you. And others here who are attending would love to hear from you. So our agenda, for those of you who are like myself, who are planners, looking ahead, these are all the things we're going to be covering today. So we've got quite an agenda, but we're going to walk us through step by step, hopefully make this as easy and as clear as possible. So what is peer-to-peer fundraising? For those of us who are new to it, peer-to-peer fundraising allows your supporters to make a fundraising page to raise funds for your organization during the Good Giving Challenge. So if you have a big fan out in your community of the work you do, this is a great way to engage them and help them leverage their networks to be able to raise even more funds for your work and organization. So why is it so effective? Relatedly, peer-to-peer fundraising multiplies your reach to potential donors. Each of your supporters can reach out to their own network and bring in potential donors who otherwise may not have known about your organization. Peer-to-peer fundraising results in more authentic outreach and messaging as potential donors are being reached out to by someone they know and trust. It uses the power of social influence and increases your social media presence as more people promote your organization. And it establishes another avenue for engagement with your organization, again, allowing new people to learn about and support the work that y'all are doing. So now that we know a little bit about it, let's talk about strategizing in your particular peer-to-peer fundraising plan. So we have identified 4 steps to fundraising success. So one would be select individuals who will be your loudest voices, right? Find fundraisers who will advocate loudly and proudly for your organization among their network. Those people are going to carry your flag out in the world in their community. We also encourage your fundraisers to tell a compelling story that can replace a direct ask. So sharing how your organization has impacted them can encourage your fundraisers network to support them and you during their giving day. And above all, make sure that the process is fun and engaging for your fundraisers. They're a great asset to your organization. And if possible, think about ways that you can incentivize your fundraisers to participate. For example, perhaps you can get a local restaurant to sponsor a prize or a gift card for the fundraiser that brings in the most donors. That's just one common example. There's so many ways to engage your donors and your network. But yeah, having fun. This is a fun process to create joy and energy and excitement around the wonderful work you do in your community. All right, so identifying potential fundraisers. Lots of different ways you can do this. Maybe you already have a few people in mind. Maybe you've already identified yours. But for those who are kind of thinking about maybe new ways or haven't done this process yet, a great place to start is we recommend asking your board members. Fundraising is a great way for them to get involved in your cause. They're already on the board, so likely they have quite an investment in the work you're doing, which is great. So leveraging that and having this tool for them is a great way to increase your reach. Another great group to ask is your volunteers. So fundraising on your behalf is an amazing way to support your organization during the giving day without necessarily making a donation themselves, right? Maybe their donation is their time, the way they volunteer with you. And so that way they can continue that particularly. So ask donors who have supported you in the past, always a great way. And then staff members are also a great resource as they care about your cause and know your organization in and out. Also think about local community members and especially those who may have influence in your community. Your organization serves your community and fundraising is a way for those who benefit from those services to get involved and give back. Finally, ask your friends and family. Even though they may not have a strong connection to your organization, they have a strong connection to you, and they're likely to want to support you in the work that you do. So what type of stories should your fundraisers be telling? Here are a few questions to prompt your fundraisers when they're thinking about how to ask potential donors to give. What made you decide to get involved? What do you wish everyone knew about this organization? Why do you enjoy giving to your organization? What's your favorite program or service and why? And then how do you feel after engaging with the organization, whether that's working, volunteering, engaging with in any way? So some nice prompts that you can offer to your fundraisers and donors. Pardon me, the peer-to-peer fundraisers. So fundraising for your organization, it is a higher level of participation, and it's important to recognize anyone who fundraises on your organization's behalf. Those who raise a lot for your cause should be treated as you treat major donors. It's important to invest in your long-term relationships and ensure that your fundraisers have a great experience, regardless of how much they raise, so that they continue to support you in the future. If you have this really excited peer-to-peer fundraiser who consistently brings in $35 each year, right? We probably know that $35 isn't going to make the greatest impact necessarily, but that is $35 more than we had. That is someone who's excited and we can build upon that. Maybe that's an opportunity to train them and get their skills up to increase their fundraising. Who knows? Opportunities abound. And then making it fun. Peer-to-peer fundraiser, it creates an opportunity for friendly competition for your fundraisers on the giving day. So we can think about ways to incentivize your fundraisers to get the most donors or dollars. So offering prizes, like we mentioned, it's a way to create a little bit of competition for the fundraisers who are engaging and help encourage engaging with a good cause and earning some publicity. Your fundraisers, when they agree to do this, they will be responsible for sharing out their pages. With that, we want to help them out by providing templated graphics and content and some ideas for sharing on social media. In the fundraiser guide available on the GoodGiving Challenge website, you'll find tons of resources and templated communications to make participating as a fundraiser as easy as possible. We're also going to walk through the platform itself to show the fundraisers that it doesn't have to be this big setup and all this time and energy, that we have done a lot of the work through the platform and through the Bluegrass team to really make sure that this is as easy as possible. And then finally, thinking about the experience you would want to have as a fundraiser. Say you go and you're like, you know what, I want to commit to this for an organization. What would I like to see to be involved and to make sure that this is as smooth as possible and fun? So setting our fundraisers up for success, starting early, which is what you're doing. We have quite a few weeks ahead of us to reach out, to educate our fundraisers and potential fundraisers to understand their capacity for this ask, right? Maybe they say, yeah, sure, but they don't really know what's involved. This is a great time and great way to make sure that we educate them and onboard them and make sure that they have everything they need for success. With that, be clear. We want to be transparent about our goals, set our expectations for our fundraisers, and then, as we talked about a moment ago, making it as easy as possible. Can we provide the content they need? Maybe there's additional content that your organization has, whatever it might be. And then taking the time to regularly check in. How's it going? What support do you need? How can I make this easier on you? And leading with appreciation and gratitude for their involvement. So inviting your fundraisers. How do we even get fundraisers involved in this platform and in this process? So we will show you the platform on our end of how to do such a thing. So first, as an organization, you will open up your organization's dashboard and scroll down the sections until you see the final tab, Add Fundraisers. You'll see a screenshot here. From here, you have the option to set a default story and goal for your peer-to-peer fundraisers. If you'd like to set up a general story and goal, be sure to do this before adding any fundraisers, as it won't retroactively apply once fundraisers are added. Fundraisers will always be able to customize their story from their fundraiser dashboard too. So just to clarify, before you add anyone at all, you'll want to set your default story and goal if you want to. Because once you start adding people, you can't go back and change that for anyone who was added before. Now, once the fundraisers themselves start using the platform, they can customize that and add on as they like to. If you do need to make any edits on your fundraiser stories or goals after they've been added, you can do that. You'll just need to do that on an individual basis by clicking the pencil icon next to the fundraiser's name in this tab. So it is possible to go back and make edits. It just becomes a one-on-one basis. You can add fundraisers in two ways. The first is the ability to allow fundraisers to sign themselves up. You'll check the box Allow New Fundraisers to sign up, and a fundraise button will appear on your profile from which fundraisers can sign up themselves. Or you can make becoming a fundraiser invite only. Simply uncheck the box that says Allow New Fundraisers to sign up and click Save. You may find the best approach, instead of having each fundraiser create their own profile, is for a group to create a single profile that everyone shares out. In that case, you can choose one advocate to create the profile, or add yourself as a fundraiser and create the profile for them, then have everyone share that page out. So if you know that there's kind of a group of 5 or 6 folks that all know each other and volunteer together, and it would be easier just for them to have one single page, you can do that. You can set it up that way. We have a quick question. Should current fundraisers be deleted and re-added so that the fundraising default story is there? So that's a great question. It's really up to you at this point. If you have 100 fundraisers and you want to re-sign them up, that may be a challenge. You may be able to just go in and have them, you can go in individually on the back end yourself and add in the story if you'd like. Or if you want to send out the copy and say, please add this to it, you can. So it really depends. There's a couple different ways that you can edit that story, but it's going to be on an individual fundraiser basis. Now, if you have 2 fundraisers or 5 fundraisers and you think it would be easier just to reset the program and then re-sign them up, you can definitely do that. So I guess in summary, there's not a clear way forward if you're wanting to have that default story there, but there are a few different options available to you to make sure that that default story is added in for any fundraisers who have already signed up. Okay, so to continue on adding fundraisers, again, to sign up one by one, you'll click Add Fundraisers. From there, you'll have the option to enter their first and last name and email address. You'll also have the option to create a fundraiser display name. This may be helpful in the case where you have a group fundraising using a single profile that we just talked about. So the display group could be their group name. For example, here, class of 1999, where is the fundraiser display name, whereas the actual fundraiser themselves is Larissa. So that is one example of how this might be used. You'll then be promoted to composer invite and will send the invitation directly from within the dashboard. As you can see that arrow pointing to compose your message. So an additional option is to upload a CSV of fundraisers instead of adding each fundraiser's information individually. So to do this, within the same Add Fundraisers tab where we were before, default page, you'll click Upload Fundraisers. A pop-up will appear that allows you to upload a CSV and also provides details on how that file should be formatted. So again, if you have quite a few fundraisers you know you're going to add here, it might be better to do this bulk version of uploading them all in one go instead of individually. There is no right or wrong answer here. You can use either tool. Some people just find one or the other better. Some people choose to just have fundraisers sign up themselves and bypass this whole process. There's no right or wrong answer. Just do what works for your organization to make it as easy as possible for everyone involved. All right, so we've now invited everyone. So we're at the next stage, which is once invited, your fundraiser will receive an email with the messaging that you created and a link that says get started. By clicking that, they will be directed to their fundraising dashboard where they can build out and share their fundraising profile. So you'll see a screenshot here of what it looks like on their end once they log in. The first tab is Tell Your Story. This is where the fundraisers customize their profile. They can create a display name, add an image, set a goal for what they want to raise, tell their story of what your organization means to them. Again, this is where the default story would show up if you've set that. And then reminding the fundraisers that the more compelling the fundraiser story, the more likely it is that the donors will give and give generously, right? They hear that story, they may have a connection to it, and they feel like this is a good use of their funds and donation. The next tab, Make a Donation, links directly to the donation form. Here, your fundraiser can encourage others to give by making the first gift themselves. Note that they won't be able to do that until the donations open at all. So we can't go ahead and put the donations until they open site-wide, just as a note. And then the third tab is Reach Out. This feature allows your fundraiser to send emails to their contacts directly from the dashboard to encourage them to give. They'll have the option to send these messages individually or to all contacts at once. The fourth tab, is Share Socially. Fundraisers can use the link they'll find in the Share Socially tab to share their fundraiser profile on their social media pages. There's links to share directly on X and Facebook, but it's also a great idea to link it in an Instagram story and on their LinkedIn profile or anywhere else they connect with their network. We encourage fundraisers to start reaching out to their network and sharing their page on social media in the couple of weeks leading up to the giving day, and then to reach out again as well as post on social media the day of. Templated messaging can be found in the nonprofit toolkit on the site to make reaching out as easy as possible. And the final tab is Give Thanks. Once a donor has given, fundraisers can express their appreciation by sending a thank you message. Your donors will appear here with a checkbox that says Thanks Selected Donors. By selecting that, a pre-populated thank you message they can customize will appear. After sending a thank you email, they can click Mark as Thanked to keep track of all the donors they have messaged. So quite a few engagement tools to make it as easy as possible for them to participate in this process. So I want to show you a little example here of what a completed fundraiser profile looks like on the front end. So the image at the top, it automatically populates based on your organization's cover photo and things, and the logo. Below the donate button here is where the organization's, where the story goes. So you'll see that our story underneath there. If the donor, or pardon me, the fundraiser decides to insert in any photos or anything, that would show up there as well. So this is what someone, if they're like, hey, I want to participate in that fundraiser's campaign, they would click through, this is what they'd see, and then they'd see everything populate. So this is the page that fundraisers send out to potential donors in order to collect donations on their behalf. All right. So thinking about our timeline, plan, prepare, coordinate, check-in, follow up. We've got quite a bit of time, which is great. So I would say we should be in the planning, preparing segments here, moving towards the coordinating, and then the check-in would be, of course, closer to December. And then the follow-up would be after the actual giving day. So we've got some time, but you can kind of see that this would be a good time to reach out to make sure that they know where the links are to the references, or pardon me, the resources. Make sure that they understand what's asked of them, how to access their particular individual link. Just common questions like that. Share with them these resources and these particular training videos if you'd like. And then some key takeaways. One that we didn't cover specifically yet is, on average, what we see on our platform is that peer-to-peer fundraising, they can be raised about, on average, 3.6 times more than if you don't utilize it. This is an average, of course, so we've seen folks have more, a little less, but overall we see an increase in engagement and donation for those who utilize the peer-to-peer fundraising tool. Fundraisers do increase your organization's reach. That friend of a friend mentality starts where your circle just starts to widen pretty quickly. We do recommend being strategic when selecting fundraisers. We've had organizations who just kind of cast the net wide, and they see some folks be involved, some folks not, right? But if we're really strategic when selecting fundraisers and get those folks we know that are going to be really passionate and excited about this, we can see a really big, significant impact. And then, as we talked about, providing those fundraisers with resources to make it easy and fun. Hopefully we have started a good bit of that. You're welcome to customize as your organization sees fit. And then really to reiterate that there's plenty of time before the GoodGiving Challenge. I know it's going to go by quickly, right? We're already in mid-September, but really if we start now and we start small this year and grow it in the future, we have plenty of time to make this tool a success. And this giving day a success. All right, with that, there are quite a few support articles and videos on the website, not only just this webinar, but if you go, you can see some pre-recorded training videos on the trainings website, the trainings page of the Giving website. There's email templates, resources, and support articles about how to identify and add fundraisers. Just some really great tools on there if you'd like to really dig into this particular approach. All right, so you do want to make sure that your fundraisers are set up for success. As I mentioned on the website, in the drop-down menu on the GoodGiving Challenge website, you'll find a nonprofit toolkit and a fundraiser guide. Within the nonprofit toolkit, there's a section titled Peer-to-Peer Fundraisers, which provides resources to help you determine which fundraiser strategy, as well as instructions for using our fundraiser tool. The fundraiser guide provides a ton of resources for your fundraisers to help them navigate their dashboards and share out their pages. So it's definitely a resource you should share with the fundraisers. And then communication is key when it comes to inviting and engaging with your peer-to-peer fundraisers. And these resources should help simplify communications for everybody. So there's a ton of social media and email templates, as we mentioned. They can all be really helpful to everyone involved, right? Both you and your fundraising champions. And they'll be happy to know that they don't have to create things from scratch, right? They don't have to be writing up emails or social posts or anything like that. They don't have to be creating their own graphics. And then, throughout this process, being sure to check in with your fundraisers. They might be new to this. They might need need a little extra support, right? And just knowing that their investment is not for naught, if you will, that they're seeing that their time and energy is really supported and appreciated goes a long way. Yeah. Okay, before we switch gears, we've got a little section on matches and challenges. So just want to cover everything. Okay, not seeing any other Q&As here yet. A reminder, use that Q&A box if you'd like. If you have any questions, we'll be reviewing it as we have been throughout the presentation. Okay, we're going to switch gears just a little bit. Lauren had mentioned there was quite a bit of interest in matches and challenges as well. So this is a separate tool for increasing engagement, but I just wanted to acknowledge that we're switching gears a little bit. So we've been talking about peer-to-peer fundraisers, and now we're going to switch into matches and challenges. All right, so matches and challenges are a way to kind of gamify a giving day, if you will. So leveraging matching and challenge dollars, it can help provide a strong incentive for your donors to participate. There's also great opportunities for local partners or major donors to get involved, and allows them to give at a higher level and gain recognition for their contributions. On average, having a matching opportunity increases a donor's likelihood to give by about 22%, according to our information, and increases gift amounts by about 19%. So not to mention that organizations who do feature a match or a challenge opportunity raise on average 4.5 times more than organizations who do not feature these things. So I know that's a lot of numbers and data. We are not visualizing this on this slide, but I just want to say overall, what we see is the matches and the challenges significantly impact and improve our giving numbers overall. So if there's ways for you to utilize these tools, we highly recommend it. All right. So from your Giving Day dashboard, you'll scroll down and click Manage Matches and Challenges, and that will, take you to the place where you'll be able to set these things up. We do want to make an important note here is that the funds you receive from your sponsors should be received offline. So you should secure your funds as cash or check from your sponsors outside of the platform. The sponsors do not need to make the matching gifts on the platform at all. We've seen that confusion before, so just wanted to clarify it, that the match funds themselves will be handled completely offline by you and the sponsor. All right, so selecting matches and challenges and adding one. So once you do that, once you select matches and challenges, if we're adding a match, we will click the Add Match button to create a new matching opportunity. From there, the platform should walk you through step by step of all of the information you need to set up this match. So you'll enter that information, the name, the description, the funds available, the ratio at which you want to match, an image if necessary. You can, so for an image, sometimes it's the sponsoring logo, sometimes it's a relevant program image, sometimes there's no image at all. It's totally up to you to add that in there. And then a quick note on the matching ratio, a traditional match is a 1-to-1. So I give $5, the match gives $5, right? So it's a total donation of $10, but I have only given $5. If we do a 2-to-1, I give $5, the match adds $10, right? It doubles mine. So it's a total of $15. So I know that that math can be, sometimes I get tripped up on it a little bit, even trying to explain it. So I wanted to clarify that. So 1-to-1 is usually the most common match, but we do have a 2 and a 3-to-1 available if you'd like to use it. All right, and then next is your matching sponsor information. So you'll add the sponsor's donor's name, and if they're a business, you can add their business's URL. The sponsor donor name is a required field, but there is an option to keep the sponsor donor anonymous. So we do need to enter it on our back end, but if you don't want to display it publicly for any reason, you can keep it anonymous. When creating the match, it will default to anonymous. So if you'd like to display that name, just check that box there. And then finally, setting the match parameters. You have the options to restrict the match to a specific time frame and to set a matching cap. Make sure you select the correct time zone that you're in. So it is set to Eastern time already. If you need to change that for any reason, please, we'll need to do that math in our head. In most cases, you'll want to keep the enable auto matching checkbox checked so the work matches are automatically applied to donations as they come in. If unchecked, you'll need to manually apply the match to donations. So auto matching is almost always what you'll keep it on. It just means that the system itself does the math and you don't need to keep track of it. All right, and so then this is how the match will appear on your profile on the GoodGiving Challenge website. So it'll show up like this with a little status bar, a little example, a little sample and summary of what the match is. And then this match bar will start to populate, as we get closer to depleting the match. All right, and then if that was setting up matches, so the adding a challenge is very similar process. You'll just want to make sure you go over to the challenges tab and click add challenge. From there, it walks you through very similar information. You'll add the name, the description, the amount to unlock once the challenge goal is met, and then you can also add an image as well. And then sponsor information again. You can add the sponsor name and optionally their URL. And similarly, you can keep the sponsor anonymous or display their name publicly, but it is a required field. All right, and then finally, you'll set the challenge criteria, including the time frame and goal. So really similar, if you want to time scope this, you can. Any type of challenge you want to set, you can click that drop down and select the options. If you want it a certain amount of dollars, a certain amount of donors, or a certain amount of donations, you can set that up there. And then the challenge goal is how many that need to be hit to be able to unlock the challenge. And then very similarly, it looks on the front end like the matches. The text is slightly different, of course. In the indicator here, 10 more donors unlocks $50. So you can see it's keeping track of that in a very similar way to be able to show to the public how this looks. All right, and that is our matches and challenges overview. I know it's a little quick, but the goal is hopefully the platform is doing most of the work for you once you've secured the funds. So just another note there is you are responsible for securing those funds if you choose to. This is a completely optional tool for you. So matches and challenges are there for you to use. You are not required to use them by any means, but we do see success for those organizations who decide to use them. So with that, our Giving Day support and resources. We do have a dedicated customer success team available to help answer any questions that may come up at any time throughout the process, in addition to hundreds of support articles that are available online 24/7. We also have an extensive blog where you can find tips, tricks, and strategies to take your Giving Day to the next level. And then to get in touch with that customer success team, you'll click on that blue chat bubble that's on the bottom right of our website, any page that you're on. The chat bubble, when you click it open, there's a few initial kind of, they seem like AI type questions. I promise once you're past those few initial questions, there is a real person on the other end of that chat. I work with that team. I can vouch they are real people. They're there to support you and help you. But there are a few initial questions that do make it seem like it's just a robot you're talking to. But I promise after those few are done, you are talking to a real person. And our questions. I believe we've got a few questions in the chat. So the first one, so first timer here thinks that, thought that Bluegrass sets the challenges. It's just this something extra that we can do. Lauren, you're welcome to provide any extra context, but yes, there will be site-wide matches and challenges usually, but this is something you're welcome to do additionally for your organization. Did I get that right, Lauren?
Yes, that's correct. We will share our BGCF challenges likely at the beginning of the 1st of October. We still have some outstanding asks that we're working on, but yes, we do encourage organizations to secure their own matches. That could look anything like if you have fundraiser page, using any of these tools to promote those that Cameron just went over, but whether it's the fundraiser pages, whether you want to enter in a match or a challenge there, but we do encourage organizations to get their own challenges as well, because as he mentioned, what was the stat on the giving with matches? It increases donations how much? Like you said 3 point?
Yeah, I believe it's like 3 or 4.5 times on average.
Yeah, so that's just sort of like above and beyond but we encourage you all to do that because it is quite successful.
Great. And then a similar question here is, how do our challenges work with wider Bluegrass challenges? So for example, if we're running a challenge at 9 a.m. and Bluegrass is also running a challenge at 9 a.m., do both apply at the same time? This is an excellent question. And the answer is technically they might, if the parameters are similar. So usually when you as an organization are setting up a challenge, it usually just applies to your organization, right? Whereas Bluegrass, their challenge might be open to everyone. It might have specific parameters. So you'll want to review that information just to see, it might count both. That's not necessarily a bad thing for a challenge. It's usually more of an issue with matches than a challenge. But yeah, so there could be some overlap, but it's because the matches and challenges that you as an organization set up are usually exclusively for your organization, the overlap is smaller. But it is worth, just making sure that you're not completely overlapping if you don't want to be. So definitely want to review all of that language on the site.
Yeah, and I'll just say, one of the things about your organization's matches and challenges, they are sort of tracked live on the site, right? Like you'll see the progress as donations come in. We are not tracking matches and challenges or anything live as it's happening. So we don't do that until a couple weeks. We don't even get the payout until 1 or 2 weeks later, and we don't start calculating matches until bank transactions finalize and all that. So I will say, I think this is what Cameron sort of said, but I'll just reiterate, like if you have your own match going on at the same time BGCF has a match, that doesn't negate you from getting BGCF's match. So it's kind of like two separate things happening at once. As he said, like, we'll go over that language when we release that information in early October, but just off its face, it wouldn't negate you from getting a BGCF match if you also have a match. It's just even better for your donors and for you.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I love the way you said that at the end. Yeah, it's all about like maximizing as much as we can. So that's why we offer that caveat of like trying to make sure it's at slightly different times if you can, just because it maximizes it. It just makes it a little bit better, but it doesn't hurt anything by any means of having those at the same time. And then it looked like there was a question from earlier in the chat that no one could offer incentives for donations. And I think I might have just maybe misspoke here. When we were talking about offering, an incentive for the fundraisers, specifically for the peer-to-peer fundraisers, like for participating as a peer-to-peer fundraiser. So if they go out and, gather more donations through their page, that would be something that you might incentivize and create a little bit of like gamification around. But yes, you're correct. We wouldn't want them to go being incentivizing, paying people for donations. We don't want that to happen. So hopefully that provided a little bit of clarity to that question. I know sometimes the language of fundraisers, donors, also I trip up sometimes and use one over the other, and so it can get a little confusing. But hopefully that provided some clarity. And that is just one example of trying to incentivize our peer-to-peer fundraisers. By no means do you even have to worry about that if you don't want to.
Yeah, and I'll just echo, I'm sure that's on people's minds because we just had our rules, policies and procedures webinar last week. But I don't think there's anything wrong with doing like a fundraiser appreciation event or like a donor appreciation event. We do things like that all the time, but it's like that incentive of like, if you give, you'll get a free tote bag or something. It really has to be like the quid pro quo. Like if you do this, then you get that. Which is not allowed. But yeah, if you have if you have an idea and you have a specific question about it, feel free to reach out to me or Haley, our general counsel, and we'll let you know. But what Cameron, like his example he just provided, that would be, I think, fine.
We do have a few minutes left. Please feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A if you have them. A reminder as well, the blue chat bubble on the site is there for you. It is open 8 to 5 Eastern time, live every day. If you submit a question outside of those times, someone will get back to you the next day. It doesn't fall into the ether. And then as well, these slides and this recording will be on the website by the end of the week, if not sooner. And there's lots of other great resources on the site there for you to use for these tools that we've covered and for others. If you're looking to explore and really maximize the platform, all of that is there for you to use. All right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'll go ahead and wrap us up for today. And yes, reach out to the Bluegrass group if you have questions for them, the Blue Chat Bubble, questions for Bonterra. And otherwise, we wish you the absolute best on your giving day. I know you've got a few weeks until it kicks off, but this time is really important. So best of luck, and we're excited to see all of the great things y'all do in this next few months.